Hi, my name is Anna Schaffnagel, and this is my poster presentation on the use of bedside shift report. Starting with my problem statement, the problem I am going to discuss throughout this presentation is the disuse of bedside shift report, which is a major problem in hospitals today. The purpose of bedside shift report is to involve patients and their families in the plan of care and decision making, increasing patient safety and improving overall satisfaction of both the patients and the nurses. By not using bedside shift report, it can affect the involvement and care of the patients and their families. The issue. According to the Joint Commission, goal number 2 of the International Patient Safety Goals is the improvement of effective communication. One way to help this issue is with the use of bedside shift report. Bedside shift report is important because, as stated in an article I read, bedside shift report implication of patient safety and quality care, medical errors are the third leading cause of death. This could be greatly reduced in rankings, and hospitals would have better patient outcomes if staff and the healthcare professionals had better communication. And one way to do this is implementing and facilitating the use of bedside shift report. Bedside shift report is helpful to the nurses and the patients because bedside shift report is a way to help the patients feel more vocal in their plan of care and for the nurses to have better communication and relay the proper information, which provides better overall safety and then results in shorter hospital stays and better patient outcomes. In my middle section here, you will see my research articles that I have read and used to compile all the information within my poster. These articles consist of information such as ways to improve bedside shift report, ways to implement bedside shift report, issues with bedside shift report, why some nurses may not want to use bedside shift report, and then also a few studies that have been conducted about bedside shift report. The next section that I have is my Plan, Do, and Study part of the Plan, Do, Study, Act portion. So plan. The plan is to increase the use of bedside shift report in the hospital setting with the staff in order to increase patient and nurse satisfaction, improve communication, and provide better outcomes. Do. Conduct a study over a couple days each month on multiple units in which half the staff will consist of no bedside shift report and the other half of the staff will participate in the use of bedside shift report, and then switch roles each day the study is conducted. Each shift, the nurse will conduct audits of each other, which will consist of the unit name, report start time, report end time, number of nurses per shift, and the patient census. They will also mail out patient satisfactory surveys asking questions such as the staff's response to call light times, their communication, friendliness, their attitudes, and how they were in addressing the patient needs. The study. Some reasons for the disuse of bedside shift report that were found throughout the articles included that bedside shift report takes too long, or the older nurses don't like the change of switching to bedside shift report. The patient may be sleeping, so they don't want to wake them, or the patient may just be too annoying or have too many questions, so they don't like to go into the room. In order to improve the use of bedside shift report, facilities should provide their staff with ways to overcome these problems, which I will show in the ACT section. ACT. Ways to improve bedside shift report would be such as providing training or doing orientation or having at least one yearly training of bedside shift report that all staff would attend throughout the year. You could also teach on ways to improve bedside shift report, which could be done both at orientation and on these yearly trainings. Another way is to provide tools that will help facilitate the use of bedside shift report, which would be useful for both the older nurses and the newer nurses, which I have found throughout my research a bedside shift report checklist, which I have put a link in to view that. Below my ACT section here, you will see a results of a nurse survey that was conducted on a study which was very similar to the one I have listed. And it just asked questions to the nurses about how they had felt about the use of bedside shift report. So you have questions such as, I have enough time to give and receive report. Shift report format was standardized on my unit, and nurses on my unit are open to me asking them questions after I listen to their report. So there are only a few questions in here which they have checked strongly disagree. Otherwise, for the most part, they are in the agree or strongly agree category. So some of those sections include, I have enough time to give and receive bedside shift report. So before bedside shift report, about 1.5% of the people put strongly disagree. And then after the use of bedside shift report, they had put 8.8% disagree. So yes, bedside shift report does take a little bit longer because you do have that interaction with the patient, but it should be a positive interaction which helps you to receive more information. And if they used the bedside shift report checklist, or if they had training and such days like that, it could help them to really get that format down, which would then in turn not result in so much time taken up with the use of bedside shift report. Another section where they had to strongly disagree was that shift report is concise and only contains information pertinent to the patient's care, which before bedside shift report, it was 0.16% strongly disagreed, and then after bedside shift report, nobody disagreed, which is what the use of bedside shift report is, and the use of bedside shift report checklist would really help to get only that pertinent information to the patient's care and not telling me like the last time they got their hair cut. That's not really relevant information that you need during the use of bedside shift report, and it wouldn't affect the care that the patient would be receiving. Another section where they stated strongly disagree, and the only other section they stated strongly disagree, was that bedside shift report format is standardized on my unit. So before bedside shift report, they had 4.6% said strongly disagree. And then after the use of bedside shift report, 0% disagreed, which is really what you want to see. Everyone is kind of sharing the same information, relaying that information to the next team so that everything kind of stays the same, which is really helpful with the use of the checklist and the training to help them get what they want relayed, and so it stays the same across the board. So then you can see a few more of those questions below. No other sections list strongly disagree. Then the last section I have here are my resources. I hope that you guys enjoyed my presentation and that it really helped you to learn a lot about bedside shift report and that you will start to implement it with your daily nursing